Hello everyone, welcome to Nilanjana's exclusive English lessons. Today we are starting the first lesson of HSC Class 12 English. The name of the lesson is An Astrologer's Day, written by R.K. Narayan. Okay, so let's begin the video. Those who are new to this channel, please do check out the contents that I have placed on this channel. Of course, you will get a lot of videos based on ICSE, CBSE English, and also I have made a video on HSC English Class 12 History of English Literature. Okay, so I have planned to make all the videos for HSC Class 12 English one by one because because many of you have actually requested me. So yeah, that's the reason I'm starting with this video. Punctually at midday, he opened his bag and spread out his professional equipment. So every day, this astrologer at midday means in the afternoon, he would come out at the same time. Punctually means every day at the same time, he would spread his professional equipment, which consisted of dozen cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic charts on it, a notebook, and a bundle of Palmyra writing. So every day with all these items, he used to come and spread everything under the tree. His forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion. So his forehead was very bright and it was covered with ash and vermilion, and his eyes shone with a sharp abnormal gleam, which was an outcome of continual searching look for customers. So his eyes also shone, and apparently people may mistake him, thinking that he is very knowledgeable, but actually he was always on the hunt for customers. So I would say that very business minded. Okay, yeah, and his simple clients took to be a perfective light and felt comforted. So his clients actually thought he's more like a prophet, means very learned, knowledgeable, and they felt very comforted. The power of his eyes was considerably enhanced by their position, placed as they were between the painted forehead and the dark whiskers which streamed down his cheeks. So this is how he looked. He had a painted forehead and he also had dark whiskers. Even a half-wit's eyes would sparkle in such a setting. To crown the effect, he wound a saffron-colored turban around his head. So see the entire get-up that he had, the way he dressed, the way he looked. On top of that, he had a turban on his head, around his head, which was of saffron color. So he looked more like a saint, and people trusted him. This color scheme never failed. People were attracted to him as bees are attracted to cosmos or dahlia stalks. Cosmos and dahlia are names of flowers. So just like bees get attracted to flowers, similarly all his customers got attracted to him. He sat under the boughs of a spreading tamarind tree which flanked a path running through the town hall park. So this is where he sat, under a tamarind tree. It was a remarkable place in many ways. A surging crowd was always moving up and down this narrow road from morning till night. So the place was actually advantageous for him because there was always a crowd that was walking along this road from morning till night. A variety of trades and occupations was represented all along its way. Alright, so many people with different professions, they were found in this area, like medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, magicians, and above all, an auctioneer of cheap cloth who created enough din all day to attract the whole town. So these were people of various trades who used to be in that location. So we have medicine sellers, we have magicians, we have somebody who's selling cloth, somebody who was selling junk, hardware, all that. Next to him, in vociferousness, came a vendor of fried groundnut. Vociferous means very noisy, like If you go to a marketplace, you will see how people shout and sell their items. So similarly, here also there was one man next to him who was selling the groundnut, and he was very noisy. Who gave his where is the item? A fancy name each day, calling it Bombay ice cream one day, and the next Delhi almond, and on the third Raja's delicacy. So see, these are the tricks of the trade. If you want to attract customers, you need to give interesting names. So people would be curious. Let me find out, what is this Bombay ice cream? What is this Delhi almond? What is all this? So this is how he created names every day, and so on and so forth, and people flocked to him. A considerable portion of this crowd dallied before the astrologer too. Dallied means wasted time. The astrologer transacted his business by the light of a flare which crackled and smoked up above the groundnut heap nearby. So how did he manage the light? He was sitting beside the road, so he managed the light from a nearby flare. Flare is a kind of light, okay, which actually the groundnut seller had it above his stall, and from that light only the astrologer managed his light. Half the enchantment of the place was due to the fact that it did not have the benefit of municipal lighting. So there was no municipal lighting. What are municipal lighting? Like the streets, the street lights. The place was lit up by shop lights. One or two had hissing gas lights, some had naked flares stuck on poles, some were lit up by old cycle lamps, and one or two, like the astrologer, managed lights of their own. Managed without lights of their own. So he did not have a light for his own stall, he managed the light from the nearby stalls. It was a bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. So the place where he sat was very enchanting because it was not completely dark. At the same time, it was not completely lit up. So it was some magical atmosphere that was created with light and shadow. This suited the astrologer very well, for the simple reason that he had not in the least this paragraph from this suited till end of a day. Please mark this paragraph, underline all the lines. Okay, this suited the astrologer very well for the simple reason that he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer. So here we come to understand that he had no intentions of becoming an astrologer when he began life, and he knew no more of what was going to happen to others than he knew what was going to happen to himself next minute. So see how beautifully the author has portrayed his character. The author bluntly tells that this man had no idea what is going to happen to himself his next minute. Then how can he tell it about others? So he did not have any such superpower. He was as much a stranger to the stars as were his innocent customers. See, the customers were innocent. They did not know that this man doesn't know anything. And most of the time, all the astrologers that people actually go to, they are like this only. They don't know. Maybe they are little confident and they know that usually the questions people ask, they center around what? Family, money, success, career. So these are the questions people usually ask. Alright, so he was very strange to everything. He did not know. Yet he said things which pleased and astonished everyone. But he said something which made people happy and also made them surprised. That was more a matter of study, practice, and shrewd guesswork. So underline these three words: study, practice, and shrewd guesswork. If you have a question, how did the astrologer tell or predict or made his customers happy? So you have to write that he did it through continuous study of the face, like he studied the face closely. Then also he made a shrewd guesswork, and also he have been practicing this trade for many years, so he knew more or less. All the same, it was as much an honest man's labor as any other, and he deserved the wages he carried home at the end of the day. So the author tells that it was just like any other profession. He did hard work, he made guesswork, He studied the faces. He has been doing it from morning till night. He's sitting there. So if you consider it to be hard work, yes, that was hard work. And so therefore, whatever customers he got and whatever money he got, he deserved it. That's what the author says. He had left his village without any previous thought or plan. So the astrologer had left his village long back, but he did not have a plan or a thought that what he's going to do when he's coming to the village. If he had continued there, he would have carried on the work of his forefathers, namely, tilling the land, living, marrying, and ripening in his cornfield and ancestral home. So, the astrologer, you can understand that his forefathers were never into astrology. They were what? They were farmers. So, if he would have stayed back in his village, probably he would have taken the profession of his forefathers, like what? Tilling the land, then living and marrying, and finally working in the field and living in his ancestral home. But that was not to be. He had to leave home without telling anyone, and he could not rest till he left it behind a couple of 100 miles. Very important, please underline this line. So, why did he leave home without telling anyone? Of course, there must be some secret behind it. So, he left home without telling anyone, and he could not rest till he left it behind a couple of 100 miles. So, he had to go at least 100 miles, that means quite far away from his village, then only he could take rest. So in which situation a person does like this? Only when he escapes or when he flees from that place, then only. So something terrible must have happened that would have forced this man to run away from his village like this, which we will know at the end of the story. To a villager, it is a great deal, as if an ocean flowed between. See, when you are living in a remote village, and then from there, if you come to a town or a city which is far developed, then for you, it's a big place that you have traveled. It's like an ocean, because there's a big difference between a village life and a city life. He had a working analysis of mankind's troubles: marriage, money, and the tangles of human ties. Tangles of human ties means relationships. Okay, so people in this world, they usually suffer from major three problems. What are they? One is people have problems with their marriage. When are they going to get married? Or if the marriage is not a happy marriage, then what is going to happen? And is the marriage going to be a nice or a good, fortunate one? Second question is money, which is the burning question that everyone has. When can I earn more money? How can I earn more money? And the third one is relationships. My relationship with my family members, my mother, my parents, my husband, my wife. So people usually suffer from these three major problems. And the author very, justly has portrayed or summarized them, because when people go to the astrologers, these are the three questions they keep on asking. So the astrologer knew that very well, that he understood that people always are very bothered about these things. So he had a working and analysis. He analyzed that mankind, they mainly suffer from these three major troubles. Long practice had sharpened his perception. See, long practice means for many years he was dealing with this. When he came to the city and he started astrology as a profession, he practiced this for many years and thereby sharpened his perception, his guesswork. Within 5 minutes, he understood what was wrong. So imagine if somebody comes to this astrologer, within 5 minutes he would understand what is wrong with this man. He charged 3 pies per question. This is a amount of money that he used to charge. Never opened his mouth till the other had spoken for at least 10 minutes. So see, very cleverly, he never opened his mouth. First, he used to let the customer and the client speak for 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, he could understand what is the problem of this man, which provided him enough stuff for a dozen answers and advices. So first he heard for 10 minutes, then immediately he came up with this prepared answers and prepared advices. When he told the person before him, gazing at his palm is, the palm of the hand. Usually, our fate, our destiny, our fate, our destiny, they are decided by the lines that we have on the palm. No, so he used to gaze at the palm and he used to tell the person, in many ways you are not getting the fullest results for your efforts. 9 out of 10 were disposed to agree with him. Or he questioned, is there any woman in your family, maybe a distant relative who is not well disposed towards you? Or he gave an analysis of character. Most of your troubles are due to your nature. How can you be otherwise with Saturn where he is? You have an impetuous nature and a rough exterior. This endeared him to their hearts immediately, for even the mildest of us loves to think that he has a forbidding exterior. So, what did he actually say? First of all, he had some ready made advices and ready made answers. Okay, so these were the questions he used to ask, and then he used to tell them, you know what? The troubles that you're suffering from is mainly because of your nature. So then he used to say, of course, the Saturn is not properly placed in your birth chart. People believe, and if it is, Saturn is a very strong planet, and it is believed in astrology that if Saturn is not favorable, then you are prone to obstacles, challenges, and other things. Similarly, if Saturn is also very powerful, then you emerge very successful. So I'm just giving you a roundabout idea. So this is what he told this man, and he also told this clients that, you know what, you have a very impulsive nature and a rough exterior, means you are very aggressive. And whenever he used to tell this to people, liked him immediately, because everybody wanted to hear, oh, I am very strong and tough, and I'm a rough person, so people love to imagine themselves like that. So this is how everybody liked him in whatever way he dealt with the customers. He was quite popular, and he also got good number of clients and earned a good amount of money at the end of the day. The nuts vendor blew out his fare and rose to go home. This was a signal for the astrologer to bundle up too, since it left him in darkness except for a little shaft of green light which strayed in from somewhere and touched the ground before him. So that when the nuts vendor wrapped up the day's work, that is when the astrologer also realized that, okay, now also I also have to wrap up, because he used to share the lighting from his shop. So he picked up his cowrie shells and paraphernalia. Paraphernalia means small, small articles. Okay, so he picked up all the things and was putting them back into his bag when the green shaft of light was blotted out. So suddenly the green shaft of light went black, it blacked out. He looked up and saw a man standing before him. So he saw this man. He sensed a possible client. See, he couldn't see the face because the face was a little dark in that setting of light, because the green light was not coming properly. So the man was standing, the face was not visible. So he thought that maybe it is a good client. And he said, you look so careworn. It will do you good to sit down for a while and chat with me. So he told this person that, oh, you look so tired. Sit and have a chat with me. The other grumbled some reply vaguely. The astrologer pressed his invitation. Pressed means he again told it, he persuaded the man. Whereupon the other thrust his palm under his nose, saying, you call yourself an astrologer? The astrologer felt challenged and said, tilting the other's palm towards the green light, yours is a nature, and he was starting, his answers. And immediately the person said, oh, stop that. Tell me something worthwhile. Our friend felt picked. Picked is irritated. I charge only 3 pies per question. Our friend felt irritated. I charge only 3 pies per question. And what you get ought to be good enough for your money. At this, the other withdrew his arm, took out an anna. Anna is also a small coin, and flung it to him, saying, I have some questions to ask. If I prove you are bluffing, you must return that anna to me with interest. So one fine day, we understand that as the astrologer was about to go home, this man comes in front of him and he tells that, he shows the palm in front of him and tells her, "Tell me something. I want to ask you." So the astrologer said that, "See, for per question I will charge you this much." And at this, the man told that, "I'm going to give you this anna, and if you don't tell me properly, if I understand that you are bluffing means telling lies, then you have to return me the anna with interest. If you find my answer satisfactory, will you give me 5 rupees?" So this is what the astrologer asked. "No." "Will you give me 8 annas?" "All right, provided you give me twice as much if you are wrong." So if you are wrong, you have to give me twice, the man said. Said the stranger. This pact is agreement, this pact was accepted after a little further argument. The astrologer sent up a prayer to heaven as the other lit a cheroot. Cheroot is a cigar. Uh, so this man, he lit up a cheroot and he sat nicely and comfortably because he was ready for the discussion. And what did the astrologer do? He started with a prayer. The astrologer caught a glimpse of his face by the matchlight. Now see, very important, astrologer already now recognized this man. Underline this line. The astrologer caught a glimpse of his face. उसको थोड़ा सा पता चल गया है ये कौन है. There was a pause as cars hooted on the road, jutka drivers swore at their horses, and the babble of the crowd agitated the semi-darkness of the park. So immediately there was a pause. Pause where? Pause in the astrologer's mind. Even though cars hooted and there was a lot of noise from the traffic, but for one moment the astrologer was still because he recognized his long lost enemy. The other sat down, sucking his cheroot, puffing out, sat there ruthlessly. The astrologer felt very uncomfortable. "Here, take your Anna back. I am not used to such challenges." See, now he doesn't want to go with it because he has recognized him. "It's late for me today." He made preparations to bundle up. The other held his wrist and said, "You can't get out of it now. You dragged me in while I was passing." So the man said, "No, no. Now though you have to tell me because you only forced me into this agreement." The astrologer shivered in his grip and his voice shook and became faint. So he was growing nervous. "Leave me today. I will speak to you tomorrow." So today you leave me, tomorrow I will come and speak to you. The other thrust his palm in his face and said, "Challenge is challenge. Go on." The astrologer proceeded with his throat drying up. "There is a woman." So now he was about to start because he knew that he can't escape. This man was strong enough. And he was like about to start in his normal way. The advices which he usually gave to his possible clients. "Stop," said the other. "I don't want all that. Shall I succeed in my present search or not? Answer this and go." So he's telling that, see, presently I am searching for somebody. Will I be successful in that? Otherwise, I will not let you go till you disgorge all your coins. So I'm not going to let you go if you tell me properly, or I will take away all your coins. The astrologer muttered a few incantations and replied. So, astrologer acted, he pretended as if he's chanting some mantras, and he said, "All right, I will speak. But will you give me a rupee if what I say is convincing? Otherwise, I will not open my mouth and you may do what you like." After a good deal of haggling means bargaining, the man agreed and the astrologer said, "You were left for dead, am I right?" Now see, he's telling those same things which he knows because he only did that. So he said that in the past, somebody had left you for dying. You were left for dead, am I right? Tell me more. Now this man got interested. "A knife has passed through you once," said the astrologer. "Good fellow." He bared his chest to show the scar. "What else?" "And then you were pushed into a well nearby in the field. You were left for dead." So he is telling all the things which is true because he knows he's only done all that. I should have been dead if some passerby had not chanced to peep into the well, exclaimed the other, overwhelmed by enthusiasm. Now, this man was getting interest because for him, how is the astrologer telling all the things which were so true? The same things which had actually happened in his life. So the man said that yes, I would have died because some passerby peeped into the well and saved my life. When shall I get at him? So the man now told that how will I get my enemy? Can you tell me that? And he's asking the question to whom? To the same man. Right? So the astrologer is his enemy. The astrologer very cleverly how he avoided the situation. So what he said, in the next world, matlab, not in this life you will get because he is dead. He died 4 months ago in a far off town. You will never see any more of him. The other groaned on hearing it. The astrologer proceeded, Guru Nayak. So the man's name also he knew. He said, oh, you know my name? The other said, taken aback. As I know all other things. So this is where he plays very smart. So he tells, not only your name, I know many things. Guru Nayak, listen carefully to what I have to say. Your village is 2 days' journey due north of this town. Take the next train and be gone. I see you once again, great danger to your life if you go from home. He took out a pinch of sacred ash and held it to him. Rub it on your forehead and go home. Never travel southward again and you will live to be 100. So he told him that take the next train and go away from this place because there is a great danger in your life if you loiter around here, and take this ash and never travel southward. So he gave those, Kisapita advices which he gave to all the people and convinced the man. Why should I leave home again? The other said. I was only going away now and then to look for him and to choke out his life if I met him. He shook his head regretfully. He has escaped my hands. I hope at least he died as he deserved. Yes, said the astrologer. He was crushed under a lorry. The other looked gratified to hear it. So the man told that why should I leave? I have actually come out of home because I want to find out my enemy because he was almost he had almost killed me. So now I want to take my revenge. So the astrologer said, no, you cannot because the man already died. And after listening to this, the other man was very satisfied. Gratified means satisfied. The place was deserted by the time the astrologer picked up his articles and put them into his bag. The green shaft was also gone, leaving the place in darkness and silence. The stranger had gone off into the night after giving the astrologer a handful of coins. So the man left. The place was deserted. Now the astrologer packed up all his things in her bag. It was nearly midnight when the astrologer reached home. His wife was waiting for him at the door and he demanded explanation. He flung the coins at her and said, count them. One man gave all that. 12.5 annas, she said. She was overjoyed. For them it was quite a good amount of money because this amount was more than what he used to earn other days. I can buy some jaggery and coconut tomorrow. The child has been asking for sweets for so many days. I will prepare some nice stuff for her. The wife was very happy with the money. The swine has cheated me. He promised me a rupee, said the astrologer. She looked up. You look worried. What is wrong? Nothing. After dinner, sitting on the pyol is a cot. In the village area, you will see people sitting on a cot. He told her, do you know, a great load is gone from me today. So at night, he tells his wife that, do you know, today I am very relieved. I thought I had the blood of a man on my hands all these years. Blood of a man means I thought I had killed somebody. And I thought that I had committed a murder. That was the reason why I ran away from home, settled here and married you. He is alive. So a big burden, a big load was off his chest now because he thought he had killed the man, and when he saw the man alive, he was relieved that at least he did not kill someone. She gasped, you tried to kill him? Yes, in our village, when I was a silly youngster, we drank, gambled and quarrelled badly one day. Why think of it now? Time to sleep, he said, yawning, and stretched himself on the pyol. So finally, he told his wife that yes, when I was young and I was silly, one night I was drinking and gambling. I was into bad things. And when people drink and when they lose their senses and they fought, and in the midst of all that chaos, he almost killed a person. But today, he was relieved to know that actually he had not killed and the man was alive. So, this brings to the end of the story. All right, so the story is very interesting, and what we understand is two lessons that we can take from the story. First one is, when people are young, they often get into wrong things, and uh, sometimes they have to repent for those wrong things throughout their life, which the astrologer also did, but luckily he realized that the man had not died. And the second learning that we learn from the lesson is, astrology most of the time is a superstition. There is no science behind it, because the way the astrologer dealt with his clients is not for any knowledge. It is basically from his shrewd guesswork and his presence of mind. These are the two things he won. He even saved his life at the end. Otherwise, the enemy would have recognized him and also took his revenge, but he did not. All right. So
Yes.
this brings to the end of the story.